September 21st, Feast of St. Matthew, Apostle and Evangelist.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Brothers and sisters, I, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to live in a manner worthy of the call you have received, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another through love, striving to preserve the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. One body and one Spirit, as you were also called to the one hope of your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. But grace was given to each of us according to the measure of Christ's gift. And he gave some as apostles, others as prophets, others as evangelists, others as pastors and teachers, to equip the holy ones for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ, until we all attain to the unity of faith and knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood, to the extent of the full stature of Christ. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, their message goes out through all the earth. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day pours out the word to day, and night to night imparts knowledge. Their message goes out through all the earth. Not a word nor a discourse, whose voice is not heard. Through all the earth their voice resounds, and to the ends of the world their message. Their message goes out through all the earth.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the customs post. He said to him, "Follow me." And he got up and followed him. While he was at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat with Jesus and his disciples. The Pharisees saw this and said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" He heard this and said, "Those who are well do not need a physician, but the sick do. Go and learn the meaning of the words, 'I desire mercy, not sacrifice.' I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners." The Gospel of the Lord.
September 21st, the Feast of St. Matthew the Apostle and Evangelist. The first reading comes from Ephesians 4, 1-7 and 11-13. The first part speaks about how the people in the community should act. They should treat each other with selflessness, gentleness, patience. They should give an example that we are one as a church. That oneness which we live will be a powerful example to the world, because it'll prove that there is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God the Father. If, however, we are divided in our faith community, it will give a counter-witness. It'll proclaim to the world that we really don't believe and we have no intention of living that which we say we are. And then in the second part, it speaks about how within the community we have received different gifts. Some are apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors, teachers, etc. Each of us has been given a responsibility, and obviously the reason this reading was chosen was because Matthew had received the responsibility of being an apostle. It's not that we're better than others because we've received these responsibilities. Simply, God has given us a task, a responsibility, and when we fulfill that, we fulfill what God intends us to be as people. When we run away from it, it's a sign that we don't want to accept God's call, and we find ourselves being torn between that which we could be and that which we've become. The Gospel is from Matthew 9, 9-13. We hear the call of Matthew. Matthew was a tax collector, and tax collectors were hated in ancient Israel. They collected taxes for the occupied power. They weren't very honest because everything they collected in excess went into their pockets, so they very often extorted money from people, And there was no recourse because you couldn't go to a Roman soldier. They just beat you up. And they were considered people who were unclean. Therefore, the Pharisees would avoid tax collectors. They avoided anyone they considered unclean because they believed that sinfulness was a type of contagion, that if you associated with those people, you would catch it. Therefore, they avoided those people. Jesus does the opposite. He first of all calls Matthew, and then he eats with tax collectors and sinners. And the Pharisees are scandalized by that because they purposely avoid them. What does Jesus say? Those who need a doctor are the sick. So he's saying the very fact that these people are sinners, and he doesn't deny it, the very fact they are sinners means they need God's love. And therefore he's going to express God's love to them. Furthermore, what God desires is mercy, not sacrifice. That he doesn't want religion to be something that's cold, that's a ritual, that has no meaning in life. Rather, we're supposed to reach out in mercy to others. And remember, mercy is showing the love that the other people need, not what they deserve. And Jesus says, I've not come to call the virtuous but sinners. We should have a special responsibility as disciples of Christ to reach out to those who are broken. Not in a churchy way, not in a pietistic way, but rather in a way in which we recognize that their sinfulness is causing them pain, even if they don't realize that. And therefore, we want to heal the brokenness of their heart. And the only way to heal that is by letting them know about how much Christ loves them. Most often we do that without words. We do it by our actions. Because words are cheap, actions are difficult. And sometimes this call to conversion takes a very long time. But remember, guilt and fear never bring true conversion. They only bring conformity. Only love brings conversion. And may God bless us.